Welcome to SpecEd Answers, where we bring answers to your special education questions. This is Dawn Gibson, your special ed consultant. Today, we're going to answer a question a homeschool parent recently asked me. Is there a benefit to getting a diagnosis for your child? And if so, where would be the best place to get one? First, is it important and why? I believe it is important to receive a diagnosis for your child, whether you homeschool or not. And here are some of the reasons. Number one, most parents have some sense of whether or not their child is meeting milestones, though they may not know whether the delay is still within typical development or whether there are red flags. Sometimes issues don't come to light until a child begins more formal education. Often, when a child needs to complete academic activities, the struggles become more obvious. A diagnosis can help clarify specific struggles earlier, and early intervention is the most effective way to help any child with special needs. Number two, although a diagnosis is not going to change who your child is, it may change the way you, as the parent, or others interact with your child. For example, a formal diagnosis of ADHD might help both the parent and the child understand that the impulsivity, the lack of focus, the constant motion, and the inability to complete tasks are not necessarily acts of defiance or disrespect, but the manifestation of a true neurological issue. ADHD is never an excuse for bad or inappropriate behavior, but it is a valid explanation for those challenges. Number three, a valid medical diagnosis helps a person to own their diagnosis. An individual with a disability can and should learn to be their own best advocate. I just recently read about 70% of individuals with Asperger's syndrome are self-diagnosed. Having the medical diagnosis actually validates what most of these individuals already know and helps them to understand some of their own struggles. Or you might have a son who struggles with reading and complains of eye fatigue or how letters seem to jump on the page. He realizes that something isn't right, even though he doesn't understand why. Once he understands the dyslexia diagnosis, he can learn strategies to overcome his specific challenge. Number four, let me say this. Parents respond in different ways. I have had many parents over the years tell me that they feel guilty for not believing that their child had the issues that they really were struggling with and that they didn't seek help earlier. Parents, you did what you knew at the time with the information and knowledge that you had then. Once you have a diagnosis, you will have more information and you can do things differently. With a formal diagnosis, you can know and continue to learn answers to the what and the why and the how questions of what is going on with your child. You will become more informed, more educated, and a more effective advocate for your child. Sometimes there is denial because a diagnosis would make it real and it would have implications parents are afraid to face. It can be scary. Remember that the sooner you know, the sooner you can adapt to your child's needs. Other parents are hesitant about labeling their child. However, a diagnosis is not about labeling. It is about information, and information is the first step in being able to help your child. For example, in cases of ADHD and autism, children tend to have various sensory challenges. It could be textures, taste, or even sound. And these children may have what you think are abnormal sensitivities, but in reality, those are typical symptoms for their specific diagnosis. To summarize, if your child is young and you suspect something is not quite right, If your child is not meeting developmental milestones or has met the milestones but is now showing regression, go to your pediatrician and talk with him or her about your specific concerns. He or she may suggest further testing. You can also seek a private psychologist to have your child evaluated. And if your child is in school or even preschool, you can give a written parent referral to have the school psychologist evaluate your child. Or if the school suspects an issue, they can make a referral themselves. What is truly important is that you take the steps necessary to provide for the specific needs of your child. Thank you for listening today. Tune in to SpecEd Answers next time when we will bring answers to more of your special education questions. Email your questions to Dawn at dawngibson.consulting or post questions in the comments below. Remember to like, share, and comment on this video. Everyone loves it when others show appreciation, and myself included. This is Dawn Gibson, your special ed consultant. See you next time.